Hello my friends, we have some breaking news. Russians tried to attack Ukrainian positions in Zaporizhia direction. Here in Mala-Tokmachka, they moved even with their convoys. It's very strange, so Russians are not successful in Pokrovsk-Dobropilya direction with their convoy attacks. So they thought, okay, maybe we should try something like that on the south as well, because Ukraine doesn't have the first Azov Corps established, but our guys were ready for this kind of the move of the Russian army because intelligence reported about the possible Russian strike towards Mala-Tokmachka and also not far away from Nestranka village. As you might see here, Russians were captured on so-called Russian-controlled territory, and here they were capable to actually move, but this attack was a complete failure for them, and I have the drone video to share with you. The job was performed by 118th Mechanized Brigade of Ukrainian Army. They stated that enemy attack from three of the flanks. The attack happened yesterday. Yeah, today, by the time I'm recording this video, it's 21st of October. But the attack happened on 20th of October, and here you can see the Hunger Russian vehicles on the way. There are some of the Ukrainian drones going, and I can show you just still images of kabooms. One drone is usually not enough for those Russian hangar vehicles. So here kaboom, kaboom, vehicle continued the movement. Here once again kaboom, and still there is a movement. So you have to use lots and lots of the FPV drones to chase those Russian tanks with their armor. With some of the lucky shot that was capable to break through the vehicle defense. As you can see, one more is burning, and the one that stuck in the trenches was finished with the drone drops. That's it. Some of the Russian infantry forces were capable to land in Mala-Tokmachka ruined buildings, but later on they were finished by even HIMARS. Yeah, here Ukraine used HIMARS. Well, Russians definitely managed to reach this settlement, but the outcome for them is complete cancellation. You may see here, and Ukraine used some of the artillery. Let's check it out. Yes, as I showed to you, it was HIMARS definitely. It looks like it, and geolocated in Mala-Tokmachka. Well, Russians expanded the gray area. That's their only achievement, but we are not speaking about the presence of the Russian army here. They were flatlined. As you might see in this direction, Ukraine is using some of the aviation even. There was the strike on Russian buildings. Yeah. Well, actually, it's a Ukrainian building that was taken by Russians, that's why I called it like that. But it was also geolocated, confirmed Ukraine is using aviation all around the front lines. Also, this vehicle was captured probably from the same convoy just on the way. Yeah, it gives us the reference for the same video with coordinates, the video which I showed you before. The problem in this direction for Russians that the terrain is pretty much flat and there are not many forest patches or tree lines where Russians could hide their vehicles or their troops, and every attack of Russia is pretty much visible by Ukrainian surveillance drones, which limits the actions of the Russian army. Here, advancement with Russian even sabotage groups, small ones, is kind of complicated. But yeah, it was not the only direction. Russians also went over here. They lost more vehicles. Well, this time Russians took some of the roads and they were stopped. Well, this vehicle was stopped by the mines and this one with FPV drone strike. It was geolocated and confirmed, but what is interesting about this Russian attack that infantry was finished by Ukrainian tank. You see how it fires towards this building with a shell exit. Pretty much interesting that Ukraine is using even its own vehicles to stop Russian offensive. In Novopavlivka direction, Russia also tried to offense with some of the armored vehicles, Hunger type of the vehicles. There were two of those and all of them were captured on the way, even on the Russian-controlled territory. I say so-called controlled sometimes because Ukrainian drones, they operate far behind the front lines. Yeah, vehicles were hit, infantry landed out in some of the forest line, but later on was chased and finished. A usual story for Russians, so we have this some sort of the deja vu from 2023 and 2024. Then Russia attacked not just with the infantry forces, but also using big, long convoys, armored vehicles, tanks, everything. And now they reincarnate this stuff, but all of that brings them severe, absolutely crazy losses. And what I see here that Ukraine managed to kaput even Russian artillery system far away. Oh, it was a Grad system, PM-21 Grad, definitely on fire. As you might see, Russians are trying to use some of the protection for the system. Well, in this case, not just track was hit, but the artillery launching unit itself, so it was kaputted. Geolocated, confirmed, really far away from the zero line of the front lines. And this is the most fresh video from Zaporizhia direction. One more Russian midwave attack happened on the south. Many of the vehicles Russians used and all of them were chased by Ukrainian FPV drones. Totally, Russia used 20 of the vehicles in this strike. Also, there were some of the motorcyclists and everything of that was kaputted. The job was performed by Ukrainian Brigade Roniny. And this video I got from Sternenko channel, who supports drones for those units. So for a single day, the losses of Russia in Zaporizhia direction are comparable to what they have lost recently in Pokrovsk-Dobropilya. It is crazy. Why they're doing it, I'm out of clue, but it's good that they're doing it because Ukraine nails them very hard. I read Russian military bloggers, including Strelkov, war criminal, who continues somehow to type something on Telegram. Well, his wife does it, but they have some sort of the communication connection. So Strelkov is in shock as well. And many other military bloggers of Russia too, that what is happening is madness with those convoys. So Russian military command, they know it, but probably they don't have another choice because their commands coming for them continue to push, propel with vehicles, without vehicles, as you want, but you need to take more ground. That's it. So here Russia was not successful despite significant amount of the forces they used recently. Well, Russians also tried to advance towards Stepnogorsk, and there is the expansion of the gray zone for now. Ukraine works with some of the artillery systems on Russian positions, and the Russians are moving closer to the settlement. Unfortunately, but still without the main forces advancement. Here we speak about the small sabotage groups that use this difficult terrain, some of the urban environment of those settlements. And let's go a little to the east. Here Russia took control over Poltavka. I guess fully they took it. At the same time, Ukraine used some of the drones to hit Russian positions. Well, here Russia has the most successful direction. They still hesitate to use their armored vehicles here for whatever reason. Probably they decide to use those in the most robust Ukrainian defense directions. In this direction, they advance with their infantry, motorcycles, all-terrain vehicles, and they back up everything of that with lots of the aviation strikes. As you might judge on those kind of the symbols over here, and Russia recently started to modernize their aviation gliding bombs. They convert those into some sort of the cruise missiles. I think you might call those cruise missiles in this case. Then Russia puts the jet engine to expand the range. So now the estimate range of those kind of the gliding jet missile bombs is roughly 200 kilometers, which is pretty much high. Potentially Russia may reach Poltava from its own territory and also the capital city of Ukraine, Kiev. This Russian gliding bomb was found in Poltava region of Ukraine, FAB 500 it is, and it was equipped with a jet engine. Luckily, it didn't detonate, and our sappers, they exploded it in this place. Yeah, that's the new type of it. Well, as it was said, it is equipped with a jet engine, but I don't see it here. Probably it is connected underneath or somewhere. So Russian aviation unfortunately might be more successful with the strikes, and they may save their airplanes not coming close to the front lines. But from what I know, Ukraine is working on some of the anti-gliding bomb warfare, which will be presented pretty much soon, I hope. And by the way, here I forgot to tell about Zaporizhia, why I think that Russia is so focused on this one. Well, they need to expand the territorial gains because Ukraine created a so-called kill zone. It's roughly 15 kilometers, could be up to 20. But with development of the new drone technologies, Ukraine may expand this kill zone further, and it might touch Russian logistics and, in a future perspective, even Russian ports. It's not a big distance here, it's roughly 70-75 kilometers, and Ukraine already has drones capable to reach those ports, long-range drones, but still Ukraine is unable to use those 24/7 all the way across the front lines. It's the next step. Ukraine has even the analog of the Russian Lancets, and let me show you the video of the successful operation of those particular drones. Not long time ago, Russian journalists published this kind of the video showing Yakovlev 52 and Cessna Skyhawk 172 equipped with those kind of the machine guns. Those airplanes are being used by Russia to shut down Ukrainian drones, which are entering the Russian airspace. So here you can see some sort of the tail gunner with Kalashnikov. But this drone video is presented by Ukrainian SBU. Here's this particular airfield with those particular aircraft which are being aimed and hit by Ukrainian Lancet drones. I don't know how Ukraine calls those, but definitely it looks like Lancet. And here's the outcome. Sorry guys, I cannot show you the kaboom itself like video. For more details, please check out my Telegram. That's the restriction of this platform. Yeah, not just a single airplane was hit, but some others as well. Well, it's really hard to tell where it happened. I think somewhere at the bordering region with Ukraine, somewhere in Belgorod Oblast or maybe Kursk. Well, many thanks, Russian propaganda, for giving us the information about those light airplanes which are used to shut down Ukrainian drones. Not any longer. Now let's go back to the front lines because I saw some of the positivity in Alexandrograd, where Ukraine gained control over this settlement. Liberated, returned back. It was confirmed by Telegram channels. There were some of the fights in the trenches. The presence of Ukrainian army was confirmed and Russians were repelled. For a very long time, Ukraine was capable to gain the territory in this very difficult direction. And as you see, Ukraine also hit some of the Russian vehicles, Russian artillery system. Yeah, it was Grad once again, so it was kaputted very, very far away. As for Pokrovsk, well, there are no any changes. The fights continue inside the settlement, inside the town as well. In Dobropilya direction, also nothing new. In Konstantinovka direction, there are attempts of Russia to move further with small sabotage groups, but the front line is standstill. Kupiansk, very difficult situation for Ukraine. Russia uses drones, Ukraine as well. And we have the update from the deep state military map that give us the advancement in Malinivka yesterday and today. Also, Russians occupied Poltavka. I already mentioned it for you. So yesterday and today. And Kalinivsky, also light Russian offensive in this area. As I continue to tell here, Russians every day, almost every day, take the ground in Zaporizhia, Dnipropetrovsk and Donetsk regions. But still, this movement is not enough for them to break through Ukrainian defense lines. The main defense goes through Pokrovsk and towards south. An interesting case today happened in Hungary and also Romania. Some of the oil facilities and also refineries affiliated with processing Russian oil caught fire. On the night of October 21st, two strategic energy sector enterprises linked to Russian oil suffered accidents. Yeah, almost simultaneously in Hungary and Romania. Fire at the MOL refinery in Hungary, the MOL Dunai Finomito oil refinery complex near Budapest, was kaboomed in a large fire. The enterprise temporarily partially stopped operations. The plant processed the Russian oil. Later on, an explosion occurred in Petrotel Lukoil refinery in Romania. The plant belongs to a subsidiary of the Russian company Lukoil. According to the official data, the explosions occurred in the individual sewage system during the repair work. One contractor employee received injuries and now in a hospital in stable condition. So, since those events happened simultaneously with oil connected to Russia, and as you see, not just Hungary is dealing with Russian oil, yeah? I think that it's impossible for it to be some sort of the coincidence. People smoked at the wrong place at the same time? No, I think it could be also a false flag operation to accuse Ukraine for some of the attacks on European partners, because just European partners now influence Ukrainian military, giving own weapons and also purchasing weaponry from the United States of America. So there could be also the action of Russia towards that direction, but I'm here so far not sure. It could be everything. I'm just gonna monitor the situation. It is very, very interesting. But so far, Orban is not screaming, oh, it's Ukraine, Ukraine. No, he's pretty much calm, and today he's invisible. What I do not understand is the cooperation between Russia and Georgia. So Russia ships first oil to new refinery in Georgia. Because Ukraine hits refineries on territory of Russia, Russia is now looking for alternates where to refine its oil. So they called Georgia, the country which they attacked back in 2008, and they agreed that Georgia will just refine Russian oil and send fuel to Russia. Crazy. Georgia now has a really pro-Russian government. Yeah, there are some of the protests of people, but they cannot change the situation. I think that the only way possible for them to change it is like Ukrainians did back in 2014, just using force against police, government. Their government just does not react on peaceful protests. We see it, we saw it, and yeah, it's like that. Russia has established its full control using the soft power. It's the variant where Russia was definitely successful. Well guys, we have some interesting news, but I don't want to make this video long. That's why I'm gonna sleep and film one more video for you in several hours. Bear with me and subscribe for the channel, by the way, not to miss my videos. My friends, separate thanks for my Patreon supporters and also members of this channel. Guys, you make my job possible. And I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.